Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we have finished Tress of the Emerald Sea. We're going to be talking about chapters 59 through the epilogue of the book. So, we now have the entire story of Tress. And a fair amount, once again, it's the Sanderlanche. Brandon crams just all sorts of stuff in here. We find out the truth about Huck, which you guys predicted at least to some degree last time. So kudos. I think Dak was the first one to pull that out. And then we break Hoid's curse. We defeat the Sorceress. We defeat her unstoppable army. It's just it's a great action-packed series of chapters, I feel like. I'm Data, and with me today is
Dak
Me?
and Joe.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
The Dune, terror of the West. Sail the coast of Ireland with O'Malley on her crest. Sailors on the blue, shaking in their cots, feeling the foreboding of the terror that she wrought. Up the hull and away we go, stop the galley of gold. Whack the devil again to blow, we better above the hold. Dance along on the waterline, speed us over the waves. Back to back on the borderlines, to never shut out of the aim. Run your way.
So yeah, the final 6 chapters and an epilogue from this book, and really, I love how things wrap up in this one. It's overall one of my favorite of the secret projects for sure, if not my favorite. And the end has a decent amount to do with that. What did you guys think of these 7 chapters?
There's a lot to unpack in these chapters.
Yeah,
Let's address the elephant in the room first. I pulled out a hell of a volcano theory last week, not expecting it to pan out, and then when it did, I'm like, people are going to accuse me of skipping ahead on this one because I pulled it out at the 11th hour, aren't they? No, I genuinely just made that shit up off the fly, and then it all came true. I'm like, oh no, oh no.
see, I was editing last week's episode, and I was like, oh, people are going to hate me because it was something I said that Dak was like, wait, now I'm suspicious and I got to come up with some explanation for how this could work. I'm like, they're going to be like, why would you say something like that, Data?
We always make the fans mad. But yes, so a neat little thing for Charlie turning out to be the rat. Cool. That'll panned out right up until, the curse eventually gets broken and he steps out completely naked and he's like, oh right, I forgot about clothes. Nice little beat there. But yeah, like the final confrontation with the Sorceress, I have a lot of... So this lady, clearly she's an Elantrian, and now Hoid has access to Elantrian magic as a result, which is all very interesting. I'm a bit lost as to what the hell the Sorceress is actually doing. It's like, okay, so we got this random Elantrian woman who has tech from all over the Cosmere, and she's basically set herself up as a spy network on a planet that isn't at that technological level yet. Why? And before we can never really delve into that or find out, Tress is just like, get the hell off my planet, and she does her tower to a rocket ship and flies away. Like, okay, that just happened. Yeah, like very fun confrontation. I love Fort fucking carrying Hoid into the tower like a football, and then Hoid's just like, oh, curse is broken, just pulls out all the magic and stops her. And then Tress is like, hey, do something, knock her out. Hoid's like, are you giving me orders? And she's like, you're still my cabin boy, dude. And he's like, all right, fair enough. Great moment there, great moment. And then everything about the epilogue, they go back to the Rock, and they are now celebrated heroes. Like the Duke is just like, what the fuck, you can't do this. And Tress is like, yeah, we fucking can, man. We just got rid of the Sorceress. We're the best people on the planet. Fuck you.
Suck it, Duke guy that everyone was predicting was going to be the major bad guy, actually, and no, he's just a loser.
Yeah, just a loser. And like, I love the little note at the end. It's like, yeah, his wife left him pretty quickly. Turns out dumping his son was not making for a happy marriage. I'm like, oh, good.
Oh.
I love this. I love this so much. Yeah, no. Aside from I don't quite get the Sorceress at all, and what she was even doing on the planet to begin with. But as an antagonistic force to be overcome, she did really well. So this final confrontation was very exciting. So yeah, end of the book. I'm quite happy with it. A fun, rollicking little ride. But I will say, and maybe we can talk about this more as we go through the episode, if we had read this first as a Cosmere novel, I would have hated it.
Oh yeah.
Because the end of it all hinges on Elantrian magic, which is great for us, and because we have the member berries, we know what that all means. If I was reading this dry, I'd just be like, what the fuck is anything that's happening right now? I don't get this. But like in a way that it's like it very much would feel like if you haven't read something else, you won't understand what's going on. And we've talked about this on like previously about this book, but yeah, I would have been just like, I know this means something to people who have read something I haven't seen, and that would have made me angry if I'd been reading this for the first time.
Fair. Yeah, it really does feel like the big final battle, unless you're just accepting this, like, oh, she's a sorceress, she's doing weird magic stuff that I don't understand. Like, I mean,
that's a fair point.
For somebody who's fine with like a soft magic system, they don't need to understand. You just tell me it's magic, whatever. Maybe it goes over fine. But yeah, I agree. For me, it would be tough.
Yep.
I will say though, you also called. You're like maybe the sorceress is an Elantrian. So
did I?
You're just firing on all cylinders last time.
I didn't. No, I didn't say that last time. Was that someone else?
Oh, maybe that was Joe then. I thought it was you that. Because we were talking about like what kind of like her magic seemed kind of like programming, and what other magic have we seen that's like that fiddly? And I maybe gave too much of a hint. I was like, well, I mean, like soul stamps were kind of like that. And Joe was like, well, but we haven't seen any stamps, have we? And
yeah, no, I think that was a Joe prediction. I didn't predict anything about the sorceress. I was just all about the rat last time.
Oh, fair. But yeah, we were there was lots of good predictions coming out in any case in the second to last episode, which I feel like is a good time to be able to spot some things and predict them. Like it's late enough in the book that you can still feel like you're getting the payoff, even if you see it coming right before it happens. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, second to the last episode, there were some great predictions. There were some terrible predictions, as it turns out. But you know what? I'm proud of myself for swinging for something that was completely out of the water. But no, it was good. As I was reading it, I was just like, oh, Dak was spot on. It was very melodramatic. I think even down to when you're like, all you could manage to get out was Huck instead of Chuck.
And God, my face was in my hands.
Literally, literally what he said. Well done, Dak. That was very impressive. I did really like the wrap up of the story. I feel I don't think there's a part of the story I didn't like. I probably was all right with the references that were in there. Like, I mean, yes, we understood what they were referring to. There might have been a little bit of, I guess, confusion. Like, oh, I don't know what awakened is, but you know, they put up a shield made of runes, and well, okay, fine. There's sorcery magic there. I'm willing to accept that. So I think I would have been on the other side of the fence for that one. But other than that, like I really love Tress. I love her journey, her growth. I really liked Hoid. Yeah, I thought he was really fun. I would probably have more of Hoid. Like it's Hoid being cursed and full of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know as entertaining if he was not cursed and full of nonsense, but we know he's an excellent storyteller. So I wouldn't be disappointed to have more Hoid. I could definitely see he didn't know what was going on, because I think he throws more references to stuff in, and he throws more references to things in the Cosmere that would confuse me throughout the whole book than these references at the end, I think, if I hadn't read anything else. So I can kind of see where people would be like, oh, this narrator, I just don't get it. So yeah, I don't think it would be a rewarding starting book, because you would miss so much of it. And I don't know, being a standalone story, I don't know how much of it would sit with you long term. Like if you then just say you read this first and then went through Mistborn and then back to Elantris and stuff, I don't know how much of it would stick. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think the other stuff sticks really well because it was so well explained in each of their books, like in Lawbreaker and Elantris. But yeah, look, love the story. I love what happened. I know I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again. I'm always expecting some big dramatic moment, and I think it got a big dramatic moment that was like, I think it was big enough that I felt really satisfied, but also like it wasn't so massive that there was so much overload. Like, I feel like it all wrapped up really nicely, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's probably one of my favorite like standalone books that we've read. Yeah, lots of fun.
I like that you pointed back to Dak's thing last time about like Huck, Chuck, Charlie, because that was definitely part of the reason why when the group came up with the nickname for Hank, I was just like, no, yeah, Hank, that's a great nickname, because maybe they'll be less likely to spot this connection if we aren't even using the name in the book.
Yeah. We did ourselves a disservice. Sorry, guys. I think I floated Hank.
It worked though, and then I like how it fell off last time when we found out he was a traitor, and people are like, well, he doesn't deserve a cool nickname anymore. It went really well.
Yeah. I think we talked about last week too, why wouldn't you just say something? But yeah, I think Curse, you're not going to be able to say something. I don't know why I missed that completely. The Sorceress is not going to want you telling anyone anything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's actually part of the rereadability of this book that there's stuff like, now that you mentioned that, let's go and look at that. But there were hints and things along the way as Brandon typically drops in. The one that stood out to me the most was at one point Hoid's like, the story might protracted adventures, it says, might have been shortened if the heroine had stopped to wonder, maybe I should look extra careful to see if the thing I'm searching for has been with me the entire time. Which, hey,
yeah,
look at that. But the point where Huck is trying to explain to her about Hoid's curse, and he can't say anything about the curses at first, and then he's like, well, okay, so let's just say if you were a cursed person, you couldn't talk about your curse, but you could maybe tell a story about a friend and their curse, and through that reveal things about yours. And then he proceeds to talk about Hoid's curse, all the while slipping in little details about his own curse that he can talk about because he's telling the story about someone else. So it was, it fits with what we were just talking about.
It's pretty well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of why I think this is really nice, self-contained, but I agree with both. I agree with Dak. I think that I don't know if it's the best starting point, but I also agree with you, Jamie, that I'm I don't know that I would feel super cheated out of it. But then again, it's hard to say because I did not read it without knowing anything else. So who knows, really?
Yeah, you can't go back and read it fresh now. Not undoing all your knowledge. That's not how it works.
But you also made a point that Tress has a great character development. It's just one book, so it may be quicker than, and it's not even one of his super long books. So maybe her character development happens quicker than some of his other characters that he's done. But just the way she changes and the reasons, you see every step of it, and it all makes sense, and it's just so well done. She's a great character.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, what a wrap up. It is Sanderlanche, but at the same time, I feel like there wasn't a lot left to unravel. There's some, especially with our predicaments. There's a couple things that we can get into when we get in the story that I was like, I don't know, kind of where we stand as far as narrative wise. And like Hoid getting powers and stuff, new powers and stuff like that. I'm just like, wait a minute, how does this factor in with the ongoing narrative? Where does this place Tress in the timeline? Because unless he could turn off his glowiness, we don't see him glow in other places. So that brought up some questions in my head. But yeah, I agree with everyone else. I think Tress is a really great character. I think it was a really fun adventure, and it was kind of like going on vacation in the Sanderlanche almost. It felt like just a fun, and maybe it's because we've been reading these long epics, but it just felt like a fun kind of side quest / almost like a secret project, but not secret project because that's what it is. It almost like a secret history, but longer. It was just kind of a fun sidebar into the Cosmere of a different story, self-contained, but also interwoven. I agree that I don't think that this is a good entry point because, and again, our perspective is coming from, we know all this other stuff, But I do think I have enough perspective to say that as a first time reader, I'd be like, what is going on at the end, especially because I just don't think we have enough information as first time readers to really understand the ending if we hadn't read anything else before. So yeah, wonderful story. Loved the wrap up. Like I said, maybe just a few things that I was like, I don't know how this is gonna fit in or how this would work timeline wise, but yeah, really wonderful little vacation into a different little story. So super fun.
Timeline wise, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that maybe all of the secret projects take place kind of in the far future compared to all the stuff we've read so far.
Okay, well that makes a little more sense then, if they're all kind of like farther in the future.
Yeah, now I'm pulling up. So according to this fan timeline, which once again not necessarily completely accurate, but according to this, Lift battles darkness in Yeda, so that was Edge Dancer. That takes place in 10/9/57, and this book would take place in 11/1/19. So that sets this this says this like 200 years later. I honestly thought it was a little further than that, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, well, I feel like if you wrote it too far in the future, you'd kind of like make yourself stuck on certain maybe story points he wants to happen before this or after this.
Yeah, but he probably hasn't specifically placed it for that reason. Like he can wiggle it around if he needs to.
Yeah. And it's Hoid, so like if he's glowing constantly, he's probably got some magical way to hide his glow. You know.
I mean, we know Elantrians can disguise themselves with certain aeons and stuff because we saw Raoden do it. So it could work.
But it's fun. I liked a lot of the little pieces, like that she has a map inside her tower. So it's like, oh yeah, she knows what it looks like. Because I assume she has to configure her magic to where she is.
Exactly. Yeah, I bet. I didn't even think about it the first time I read it, but I thought the same thing this time. I'm like, oh, I bet this is somehow involved because after we saw like Moonlight do the same thing where she kind of drew a map and then turned after when she was in Lantrian or whatever. I was like, I bet the map is important to make her magic work.
Yeah. So good stuff. And there's always the only thing I'll say is like there was little parts that made me want more. Right? It's like everything wraps up kind of quick in the Sanderlanche sometimes, and it's like, oh man, I would have liked like a longer confrontation or more like back and forth between the antagonist and the protagonist, just like something a little more, right? It felt like it wrapped a little too quickly, and it's like, ooh, I would have just liked a little bit more. But other than that, it was good.
For all the talk about her, the Sorceress doesn't appear for all that long.
True. No, yeah, that's kind of the thing too, right? It's like that's almost why I was like, well, maybe she's not that bad. It's because we really didn't have that much book to go. Of course, I guess it would have been even more anticlimactic if we got to the end and she was just like, no, I'm actually a really nice person. You guys have a good day. Like,
there is no big confrontation, yeah.
Right. And it almost makes you think that when she's like, okay, yeah, just leave me these 2 cups and you can have that guy. And then you're like, oh wait, no, that's not what's happening at all.
She did seem very chill there, where she's like, yeah, no, I'll trade you for those 2 cups. Why not?
All right, bye.
Did anyone actually think that like that was it? Like we get Charlie and we get to go home?
No.
Not even for a second. It's like the door opens and there's Charlie.
No,
I'm like,
absolutely not.
This is bullshit.
Okay. Oh, I do like that that you guys did manage to call last time the possibility that Charlie was Huck. On my first read through, which is on our Patreon, if someone wants to go listen, I think when he first shows up, I'm like, what is up with this talking rat? And I had a lot of possible theories, and one of them's like, maybe he's Charlie. And then I didn't think about that again for the entire rest of the book. And then the reveal came, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was right in that one offhand comment like 10 episodes ago.
Yeah,
maybe I should have stuck with it.
If this drunk asshole is a herald, well, shit a brick.
Yep. I was just thinking about that because I was trying to come up with I'm thinking about the trivia episode that we talked about doing, and I was like, what if I had some questions about heralds, and it's like, which herald makes Dak shit a brick? That would be a great question.
Oh man, if those are the kind of trivia questions we're going to be expecting, then I'm not going to get any of them right.
Oh man.
But no, I never for an instant expected that theory to come true. I just did it as a, well, whatever. This is a fun, wild swing, and then it turned out to be right. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
So yeah, I called it even earlier than you did when I first read it. I just didn't stick with it, and it was pretty clear to people that I was not. I had not already read it clearly, so maybe it won't be too bad. Okay, let's move into these chapters. I don't think so. The chapter headers now have like black stuff around them, like spots, as opposed to the spikes and the vines from before. I don't think I like the black ones as much. They're not as interesting.
Just kind of amorphous blobs.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like bloody.
I feel like it makes the tone a little darker for each chapter, which is kind of interesting, I guess.
That's probably true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And so we left off last time with Tress had been captured by the midnight ether creatures who were taking her at Huck's command to the sorceress. And then we get she arrives the next morning, and Huck has not been answering her questions. And I love that she's like, she doesn't know whether to be more mad at herself or at Huck. And then you get the bit, the sorceress's island was really smaller than she thought, and that's coming from someone who's already from a very small island. And Hoid says it was akin to a 4-year-old remarking, I expected you to be more mature.
It just made me think of like my son being like, I expected you to be more mature. I'm like, what?
It could happen, you never know. And then we get a picture of the island, which does in fact look pretty small. Like this tower seems to take up a very large amount of this island. And another very dramatic, striking picture, I think, and this one all in black and white. And then another word play joke where a few trees tried to spruce up the landscape, but failed, both by being too intermittent and not being the right species. Because they weren't spruce, so they couldn't spruce it up. I'm sorry.
I think that went over my head until you just now explained it.
I think it may have gone over my head the first time. Like when I read it this time for this week, I was like, "Oh, hey, I don't remember that joke."
Yeah, no, I missed that one too.
The wordplay is fun. I like it. And so she's like, "Oh, you have been here before. All that stuff was lies that you told me before. You belong to her." And he's like, "Yep." And she thinks like, "There's no way the crew could come and save me," especially after they start getting close, and she realizes that they're having to wind this very specific path because just under the spores there's like rocks that are an extra defense that Huck had not mentioned to them. And then Hoyd's like, actually, he just forgot about that, but that's beside the point.
I feel like that's fair enough. Sometimes you just forget shit.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, he'd only traversed it once, right?
Yeah.
Probably,
and it's like
probably twice, one in, one out, but yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, like you've got like this giant tower loaded with silver. You got this implacable army. Oh fuck, I forgot about the rocks. Yeah, that makes sense. I would forget about the rocks too.
That's a piece of the story that I would actually like. It's like, I feel like Brandon should write like a little extra thing about Charlie's first visit. That'd be interesting.
Oh, might have been, yeah. And then we see the Golden Army, the Golden Metal Men. This Tress says it's kind of like men in armor with their faceplates down. And then there's jokes about how the Sorceress's tower reminds you of something. And like Tress wouldn't have, was too modest to say something like that. When I mentioned it, the Sorceress asked me if I'd like a large yonic symbol splitting my forehead, which that was a new word for me, which you can look up, folks. We won't get into that. It's fine. And then there's a moment where Huck has to be like, yes, that's it. I'm not doing what she asked at all. He has to kind of convince himself of something before they proceed. And when they get there, Huck's just like, hey, I've come back with this captive. Open up. And the door swings open. Which maybe seems magical, but later when you see what's inside, you're like, oh, it's just like an electric door that you command to open. All right. And also, I like that the creature, the Midnight Monster, spits up her 2 cups that she brought, the pewter one and the butterfly one. And it was like, I mean, I don't know if they're important or not, so I guess you should take these. And we hear right away in chapter 60, it's like, there's all these symbols on the inside of the tower that a well-traveled person would recognize as Aeonic, but to Tress just looks like an arcane rune. So it's already like, oh, so there are aeons happening here. Okay.
I fucking missed that. Damn it.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I was like, oh,
And then Hoid makes the really good point, because you do often hear this sort of thing described as like sterile, because it's like an office building or something. But he's like, Tress has never seen an office building, doesn't know it. So to her, this just looks beautiful, so clean. She says, like, I imagine the afterlife, which, office building isn't my afterlife goals necessarily, but to each their own.
no. Also, like sterile and clean doesn't sound. Not that I think the afterlife should be unclean, but it just it's not what I picture.
Yeah. But yeah, that just made me go back and think, like, what other books not taking place on Earth have I read where you describe this sort of thing with like metal everywhere as sterile and cold, when really they wouldn't have those same associations? And she makes it to the top of the tower, and there is a big room where it says, the chamber had a lived-in look, decorated with the kinds of things that would make a mess if the sorceress had to leave in haste, like furniture, bookshelves, which doesn't make sense until you figure out that her entire tower is a rocket ship, and it's like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
And we find the sorceress sitting at her desk with a white cat in her lap,
We meet again, Mr. Bond.
doing something on her laptop, or, I mean, her magical seeing board.
Her magical scene board.
Jesus Christ.
I do like, apparently we've developed laptop technology, and it's called the same thing in this universe.
It's like later on, he makes the point of like Fort's tablet is like, oh yeah, it's just a thing with all the security settings turned off. I'm like, oh my
Yep.
god.
Star Trek predicted.
It was a bit
like,
of a jolt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Star Trek predicted touchpads and stuff in Next Generation, so it's a thing.
Oh sure. Like it all fits. It's just we've been walking in a world where the pinnacle of technology has been, I guess, muskets. And then all of a sudden it's like we're talking about laptops and security settings. I'm like, oh, this was a jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly, no one on this planet would understand how to turn security on your tablet. Yeah. We get she was made. She had a glowy, silvery effervescence to her. Maybe in her 50s, or that's how old she'd been when she stopped aging. And she'd come a long way from the withered husk she'd once been, which is a reference to you guys almost certainly don't remember because it was only mentioned once, but during Secret History, we get the sorceress's name later on in these chapters. Her name is Rena with two eyes.
Yeah.
And that name is mentioned as one of the Elantrians that we see in Secret History. That's,
Oh wow. Yeah, it's been
trying
a long time.
to capture preservation's power or whatever.
Was she the main one that Kelsier,
No, she's not the main one.
Oh, okay.
She was one of like the 5 that rode out together that Kelsier like tormented in the woods or whatever, but she wasn't the main one of them.
Okay.
So yeah, we have seen her before briefly. She was a long way from home and extremely powerful. And when you were talking about like why is she here, I went out to the wiki to see if there was any more information, but it really just says what the book says, which is that she came here because the planet was unimportant and she didn't think that any of the inhabitants were powerful enough to pose a threat to her, so she could do what she wanted and no one would care. What that is exactly, who knows? And the sorceress immediately starts ragging on Tress. It's like, I'm not impressed with this girl, so scrawny, and that hair. I know your planet is rather unimportant, but surely you people have invented hairbrushes. Which, rude, but also fair. That's how Tress got her name, because her hair is crazy. To her, the woman looked deific. It was the glowing skin, really helps you land a good first impression. And Hoid says, I've been envious of that look for centuries now, and had been aiming to adopt it. In fact, that's what all of this had been about, but I get ahead of myself. So he says it right there. Like, oh yeah, that's what all this is about. It was I was trying to become an Elantrian.
It's been a hot minute since we read Elantris. In fact, that was the last time we moved house. But what happened at the end? Like in the special edition, there's that scene of him talking to like not the Aeons, the Dark Ones, whatever they were called,
Skaze or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he got something out of that deal, and before he jumped into the pool, was that not correct?
No, it was like it made it seem like he had a bet or something, or maybe had just told the Skaze thing that he thought he'd figure out how to become a Lantrian, and he like pulls the bandage off, the bandages off that he's wearing, and the thing's like, it didn't work, huh?
Oh, okay.
Kind of makes fun of him for it.
Yep. No, fair enough.
So hundreds of years later, he's still giving it the old college try, trying to figure out how to be an Elantrian. And Tress starts out trying to sound strong. Sorceress, I demand you return the captive that you have. And she's like, excuse me? What? Why do you think you can demand something?
Who are you?
Because I've defeated you, she proclaims. And really? Uh-huh. And then she's like, I've overcome your 4 trials and obtained your presence. And she's like, 4 trials. I love it. You've been listening to Hoid. Tell me, how is Ulam? And Tress is like, fine? And she's like, all this time, and he hasn't come to visit me. Wise, I suppose. He knows I keep a vat of acid just for him. It's one of the only ways to be sure about them, you know. Which, geez. Ulam said he didn't think the sorceress could kill him. So I guess they're at a
It's like,
disagreement on
no,
that.
I definitely can. I'll just throw you in some acid.
And
Even Ulam can be wrong.
she's like, oh, he hasn't come and visit me. Like, they're old buddies. And then she's like, I do keep a vat of acid just to kill him with, so.
Then why would he visit you?
I wouldn't be visiting you either. I want the backstory here, because it's clear that they know each other.
Yeah.
And this is where I didn't remember that we got the name of the planet in the book. It says Offworlders called the planet Lumar. And the sorcerer's like, did you really think that would work? This whole, like, pretending to get captured to get past my defenses? And she's like, okay, well, how about we trade? I've got this cool flare gun that shoots bullets that make spore explosions. She's like, yeah, I saw. And then you see on one of the screens is, like, the view from Fort's board. It's like there's a FaceTime call going on or something. So yeah, she's been able to see you this whole time. And really, she's been keeping an eye on Hoid, he tells us. And the sorceress goes, look at all this advanced technology. Why would I want your spore gun? A type of weapon, by the way, that's already being manufactured in several seas on this very planet and just hasn't made its way to yours yet. So, ouch. I mean, that makes you feel less cool.
Yeah. You still did well, Tress. You figured it out on your own.
She did really well.
It's like, just because you invented a thing that someone else also invented without your knowledge, that doesn't make it a less of an accomplishment.
This is what Hoid was talking about at the end of Way of Kings. Like, it doesn't matter if you come up with a great idea. If you're not the one who did it first, no one cares.
Yep. If she can get it to market in her sea first before anyone else gets here, then, you know, maybe then years down the line, they can argue about which sea invented it first. And so Tress starts to realize that she's kind of screwed here. She has nothing. And she's like in front of the sorceress. Like, how is she going to get Charlie back now that she's finally here? And the sorceress is like, you know what? Whatever. I don't need your stuff, but I find you intriguing. Ceslo, please open the bridge's holding chamber. And then a monotone voice, I assume a computer, although Hoid says it was the spirit that inhabited this place. Yes, like the speaking minds inhabiting the ships you've seen landing on your planet. And there's Charlie. The door opens and it says he's a little worse for wear, but he's even wearing an outfit she recognizes as one of his formal outfits. And he comes rushing out like, I knew you'd come. Oh, Tress, you saved me. Which, bold to be like, I knew you would somehow escape the rock and come and save me, but, you know, what else are you going to say?
Just utter melodrama here.
And the sorceress says, hey, I'll trade him for those 2 cups you've got. Yeah, just leave him on the shelf by the door. I'll see you. And then Tress is like, wait, is he ensorcelled in any way? And she's like, oh yeah, I got to play the part. Right. And then she says some gibberish. But that's exactly what the kind of arcane nonsense Tress expected to hear. So there you go. And as Tress and Charlie begin to leave, the sorcerer's like, see, rat, didn't I tell you? Tell me I was right. And it's like, yeah, you were right. And then as Charlie and Tress head downstairs, he's like, oh, Tress, won't it be nice to get to our normal lives on the rock again? Back to pies and window washing and gardening. And that's when everything kind of starts to hit her. Charlie didn't seem like he'd changed at all, which was good. He wasn't horribly scarred, but also Tress had changed so much that, like, she doesn't want to go back to pies and window washing and stuff.
I do like pie though. I don't know why we can't have the pie also.
True. I mean, she
was making the pie. She could just make the pie.
Yeah.
Or teach Fort how to cook the pies, you know, if she's busy captaining.
That's true.
she
We could have another Dread cook pirate.
Yeah, Driok Crushthroat the second. It's like the pirate.
I love it.
Wow.
Jamie's not amused on that one.
You married me.
You married me, you lose.
I did.
If Huck
did
makes
do
the
that.
pies, is it the pirate?
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Jamie's like, geez, there's more than one of them. Okay.
Oh my goodness, what have I done?
She's
Oh,
surrounded by
man.
dads who all dad joke.
Yeah, it's true. All dads. Yeah.
Dads want a joke.
And then there's a moment where he smiles and she says, it's perfectly like him. And yet the smile was one step too far because she knew Charlie. And she turns around and runs back up and she's like, hey, that's not Charlie. You like to torment people. You curse them with the worst curses you can imagine, tailored to the individual. And the sorcerer's like, yeah, so what? What do you think I did to him? You turned him into a rat. And then Hoid goes, ha, finally. I love that kind of commentary. We're just like, geez, it's about time she got that.
She understood it.
Fucking got him.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of unanswered questions about the whole rat thing still. So, like, I'd like to know, but it's all right.
So what I get from this is that, because I said last time, it's such a weird coincidence that she would run into this rat. And
That's my main question.
Clearly the sorceress didn't arrange for him to meet her somehow. I think probably what happened is Charlie was on his way back to the Rock because she met him on a ship that had just come to the Rock, and he would have gotten off there to get back to Tress, back to his family, whatever, if it hadn't been for the fact that they discovered him and put him in a cage.
Right. I mean, that makes sense, I guess, but it's just like I would like some on page, like, yeah, I was headed that way. Like, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
we wrap up stuff, but there's still some like unanswered questions that I'm like, it would be nice if like we would got those answers.
The next chapter starts, which is called The Man. And she calls out. It's like, yeah, Huck tried to talk to me about this place but he had trouble because your spell was preventing him from talking about these. And it's like, okay, but then how could he have told you about the defenses? And Tress says, well, he was telling me to try to get me to stay away because coming here is how you break the curse, isn't it? You cursed him and said the only way to break it was for him to bring me to you, and that's why he tried to stop me, because he loves me. And apparently, as we find out, it's not just bring Tress here. That's not what breaks the curse. He had to bring the one that he loved most here to be cursed. That's the only way to break his curse. So that's deeply fucked up.
Yeah, this goes from just like, being petty to just being outright cruel. I'm like, okay, I get it. People are cruel like that, but what's her end game? Is it just cruelty for the sake of cruelty, or like what does she get? What does the sorceress get out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like the main unanswered question. Like, why is she on this planet? What is she doing? Why does she care? What's with the cursing? Like, is there some kind of resource she's getting here that like she can't get somewhere else? But she seems like once quote unquote defeated, she seems pretty willing to just take off in her rocket ship tower. So like, that's probably like the most unsatisfying parts. Like, we really don't know why she was there or what she was doing.
Yeah.
And for this super powerful Elantrian that even the dragon is scared of, it really does seem so like petty and cruel to do this stuff to people. Like, why? Yeah, you're right. Like,
well,
it's
like
so random.
Not just a Elantrian, but she has access to like Roshar power, because it says here a second ago, like the fake Charlie is covered up by light weaving.
Well, okay, so light weaving, not strictly Rosharan actually, but
Yeah.
light weaving, and it may even be calling the Elantrian magic that can disguise you light weaving, but on the original planet where humans came from, Yolen, there is a magic called light weaving. Not exactly the same as what we see on Roshar that's called light weaving, but in fact, I think Hoid can do that, and I think that's how he does some of the stuff he does, like when he's telling Kaladin the story and Kaladin sees stuff in the smoke. I don't know for sure, but I think that is some of that Yolish light weaving. It's just the Rosharan one is different.
Right.
And so
gotcha.
I think at some
Not
point,
confusing at all.
no, not at all. Right. I think at some point light weaving may become a generic catch-all for these like illusion magics in the Cosmere, because we know that Elantrians can do it. We know that you can do it with Stormlight, and I suspect it might have turned into a catch-all at this point, but I don't know that for sure either. But yeah, whatever it is, it says that the thing that looked like Charlie, when the light weaving falls away, it's a creature that's reptilian with golden eyes and a toothy grin, which we find out nothing more about that. But I'm like, what the fuck is that thing?
I'm just like, I'm sorry, she has a fucking dinosaur?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like somebody with so much power on a planet where no one can challenge her essentially, and she's using her time coming up with the most sadistic ways to mess with people. It, it's weird. Does not say good things about her.
Which maybe, we don't know how old she is. Maybe since she was in Secret History and she was one of the Elantrians that looked all weird before things got fixed. Maybe she's just become really like messed up over time. She just doesn't like people. It's like everybody else sucks. I'm the best.
It's like, look, there's that, and there's also like so she's not just an Elantrian, like like obviously she is, but she's so good at the magic that even the fucking dragon on this planet is like, I don't want to mess with her.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he doesn't want to mess with her because he's just like, she could do stuff and like I could do stuff too, but she's just mean.
It's just not worth the effort.
Yeah.
I think Brandon has said that like full-blown Elantrians are some of the magically the most powerful beings that we've met.
Yeah. I feel like he gives a
stuff we
lot
just
of I don't know if it's because it was his first book, but he gives a lot of like extra oomph to like the Elantrian stuff. Just to give you an example, I feel like the way he uses the door is used in the Lost Metal, it's like one of the most versatile, powerful like investiture uses because it's so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's so versatile and so easy to use, even if you don't have, even if you're not from that planet. It's just like you can take it and then use it however you want to use it, basically. So
yeah, it's if you know how, it's the most easy. Well, if you're an Elantrian, if you're able to, it's an easy access to a ridiculous amount of power. Because if you want to use Stormlight, you have to have a bunch of Stormlight to use. If you want to burn metal, you have to have a bunch of metal to burn. But if you want to use the door, you just have to know the right way to open the portal to it, and there's just all that energy out there waiting to be used.
It's probably, I guess the word I'm looking for, it's like the most raw form of investiture almost. It's like it's just there and you can use it.
Yeah. That's what happens when you rip apart two shards and stuff all their energy into the crazy shit. And yeah, this is the part where we get like even his name. Like he tried to say Chuck, but he could only get out Huck because the curse wouldn't let him tell who he was. And she has the moment where she's like, "Well, wait, you're still a rat. Is that because is there someone else you love?" He's like, "Well, no. It's just I had to bring you here to be cursed." Or she says, "I haven't cursed you yet." His torment is very specifically, you have to come here and be cursed. And he's like, "Well, no, I'm not gonna let that happen. Because I didn't bring her here for that reason, so it doesn't fulfill the terms. I brought her here to defeat you." And the sorcerer's like, "Remarkable. I didn't give you the intelligence of a rat, but it seems you've adopted it willingly. I can't be defeated by..." And then like a red alert starts. There's red light flashing on her desk, and then a bunch more. This spaceship is a little bit Star Trek-y, and I'm okay with it.
I just love the fact that she's caught off guard by the crow's song arriving when she had a direct line to their deck.
Yep, she just hasn't been paying attention.
Like you, like not 5, maybe 10 minutes ago, you're just like, oh yeah, I can see the crow song. I can see everything's going on. How'd you fucking miss this?
She's distracted by her own evil plot.
She starts monologuing. That's how it happens.
Yeah, that's how it happens. They're telling their evil plan, or in her case, non-plan. Just evil.
Caught in my own web of deception, which is only like 3 strings, but still.
Yeah, still. It's not a huge web. I'm not a crazy awesome spider, but I got stuff going on.
Then we jump back in time to a day ago, where one of the Dougs is watching Tress with a spyglass and sees what happens to her, and then it's like, well, what do we do now? And Fort comes up with a plan, and it is a bold plan. And I love that he manages to make it work. So, like, they put this water and these spores out there on the deck and sail into the midnight sea, and some of the midnight creatures come on, and Fort's like, "Hey, hold on. I have all this water. You could have this water. But if you mess with us, we're going to drop these other spores in, and they get the water." And the creatures are like, "Well, okay, yeah, that's a lot of water. But there's plenty of blood in all of these humans, and that's good to drink, too." Fort has to be like, no. If you don't stop, we're going to throw ourselves overboard, and then all those spores down there will get the blood, and you won't get any. And they're like, "Oh, shit. We want that. We don't want those other spores getting that."
It's like, man, What a conundrum.
And so the midnight aethers are, Hoyt says, insatiable, and it is inherent to their nature to trade, do a human's bidding in exchange for water and form. So this deal that Ford is proposing is exactly up their alley, and it works. So he says, protect us as we sail further into the sea, and you get the water. And so then the alarm goes off, the sorceress is running around, and Tress is like, oh my gosh, they came for me, this is so great. But I gotta warn them about those rocks. And so while the sorceress is distracted, they go over to her desk and find the screen showing Fort's board. And it's like, Charlie's like, board, could you please let us talk with the people you're showing? And it's like, video conferencing, engaged. That's
a thing.
Yeah. See, this is where
it's so jarring.
Yeah.
It's so jarring. Yeah.
We talked about not long ago when me and Joe did the reviews episode about some people are very unhappy with Brandon because they say that he uses all of these this modern language and it takes them right out of the book. And for the most part, like I'm like I don't it doesn't bother me that much, or I don't notice it that much. Here it's like, oh, video conferencing engaged, and it makes sense in context because yes, this is all futuristic compared to what's around it, but it really does feel like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a little jarring. I will say the people who gave 1-star reviews of Tress that we reviewed shouldn't have gotten this far. So, but yes, it's a little jarring for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember if the Tress ones mentioned anachronisms or whatever, but
I mean, it's kind of, it is jarring, yes, but again, it sort of fits contextually with the technology of the time. Again, because the technology is such further away than we're used to on this planet.
Yeah.
But it makes sense for the tech that they're using in this moment, so I can sort of get behind it. But yeah, it's jarring, but it's not out of context, I guess. Whereas earlier, I think I talked about this last time, when Hoid's narration just kind of went, spoiler, I'm like, well, that's annoying.
You're right. This does feel more natural in context than that did.
I don't know about natural, but it's more justified.
Okay, fair. It does continue to be jarring, but when you think about it, you're like, no, okay, it fits.
Yeah.
And so Fort's like, wait, what? Like, he freaks out, and then it's like, hey, Fort, can you see us? And the words scroll across the screen, and he types back, I can. And here come Anne and Soleil, and they're like, hey, Captain, you okay? And Tress is like, hey, you shouldn't have come here. If you sail through the rocks, you'll sink. And Soleil's like, well, I mean, are you ordering us to turn around? And Tress has to actually think, like, I mean, do I want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. It's like, please help me.
No, please come and get me. I need help.
It reminds me of Serenity, where it's like, if you don't hear from me, if I don't make it back, you take this ship and you come and you rescue me. And she does say, like, hey, you have to be really careful going through the rocks because they'll mess up the ship. And Soleil's like, okay, I'll look out for those. Which seemed like a real underreaction to me, where it's like, yeah, I'll watch out for that. But it turns out to work out pretty well.
Speaking of, you brought it up, Data. What is there? They've been like teasing something for a while with like Serenity Firefly. Do we know what that is yet?
Well, so they did announce at a convention that they had lined up to do an animated version of Firefly. They've got all of the living cast on board because Ron Glass.
What is it? Ron Glass. That's what it was. Yeah, he's gone.
And he said, they have an animation house on board. They had all of the pieces except for, I don't remember if it was a distributor or there was like one piece they were missing. And he was like, so what, I want you guys to all like share this on social media, prove to them out there that there is an audience for this so that they'll want to pick this up and we can go with it. But he's like, we got the cast, we got director, showrunner, the production house. They had everything ready to go except for this one piece. And he was like, go out there and share, let everyone know that you want to see this. And I don't think I've heard anything about it since then. But
okay,
I don't think I haven't anything. They did say Joss Whedon is not involved. They have his blessing, but he's not involved.
Yeah, I figured he wouldn't be.
And it would be set between the TV show and Serenity. It's not going to be after, which, I mean,
interesting.
If Alan Tudyk's back, then
that would make sense. Spoiler alert for a movie that came out a long time ago.
Yeah, they seemed. I got the impression that there was a very strong feeling that it's like we don't want to go past that and do like all this other stuff in that universe. We want to tell this story that or stories in this area that haven't been told. So,
well, then, and it sounds like Book left them for a while, so you could kind of just say, yeah, Book's off doing his own thing.
yeah, that's true. You could have him leave before Inara, even though Inara was getting ready to leave at the end of the show. So yeah, totally. Or they could also recast. It's understandable when somebody passes away that you could recast the character. But yeah, it's potentially very exciting, but we'll have to see what happens.
So if you're a fan of old Firefly and Serenity, maybe something interesting is going to happen.
Yep. Okay,
Our big damn heroes made a film.
And I like Tress has to bring up like you know now that I'm not a King's Mask. I can't actually get us pardoned by the king. And it's like, we'll find another way. Besides, once we saunter up to the Sorceress and get away, we could probably do anything.
Hey, and Anne's not wrong.
Yeah, it totally works out. And then she realizes that based on her conversations with Hoid and what she knows about these curses, he actually should have been able to tell her where the Sorceress is, unless coming to the Sorceress was also part of breaking his curse. So it's like, hey, I need Hoid. Bring him up here to me. And they're like, wait, you need the cabin boy? Yeah.
I do like that running joke that like nobody understands Tress's like thinking along, like nobody understands Tress and Hoid. Like they're just like, why does she care about this guy?
He's an idiot.
Yeah, I guess maybe Ulam hasn't told the others as much as he told Tress about Hoid. Like he told her he could probably beat the Sorceress. Hoid could. If he'd mentioned that to someone else, maybe they would understand. But
like no.
It feels very Ulam not to give. Yeah, it feels very Ulam to not give any context to anyone else and just watch it play out.
it's
Like,
true.
yeah, well, he got himself into this mess. We'll see how he goes.
You're right. Oh man.
Ulam's probably just like, but if we get him fixed, then I can't just enjoy this anymore.
Also true. Oh, and then we get the moment where the cup breaks, the butterfly cup, and that was sad.
That was sad.
The Sorceress notices what Tress is doing and then thrusts out her hands and makes powerful runes in thin air, and it blasts them backwards. And then Tress is like, Charlie. He's like, I'm so sorry, Tress. You can't rely on me. I'm useless. It's like, Charlie, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. I love you. And he's like, yeah, I love you too. It's like, good, because it would have been really awkward if it turned out that was not the case at this point. And Charlie, I hate to impose, but if they fight through defenses, they'll have to be able to get in the tower. And he's like, all right, I can open the door. I can do that. It's like, okay, if it's not too much trouble. Very polite, because she's Tress. And Hoid notes the Sorceress was not angry, not yet, not even frightened, yet. Mostly annoyed, and maybe a little bit worried. She really didn't think Hoid would manage to get to her tower. She thought maybe I'd get sent to the bottom of the ocean and figured that would be a delight to watch. She didn't realize my true advantage has never been my uncommon intellect. It's my ability to find the right people and stick close to them. Which says some interesting stuff maybe about what's going on in Stormlight, if that's what he's doing there also.
And I think it's more interesting what that says about Mistborn and how he just doesn't tend to attach himself to people there.
He kind of does to
It's
Wax.
Yeah, he does to Wax.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Not in Era 1, though, yeah.
Yeah.
In Era 1, he's just like, I'm not dealing with that, you fucking freaks.
Yeah. He shows up like strategically with Kelsier and gives him info or just like a little bit of insight. But other than that, yeah, it's like, I don't care about you guys.
And then we get a whole like soliloquy about Soleil at the ship's wheel and how she's just like transcendent in this moment of steering through the rocks. And it's cool that she gets her moment there. And the whole crew had voted to come in after Tress, except for Laggart, who did not vote for this, but whatever. And there's a bit from Hoid about how Anne needs some art for her cabin. I could paint. I've just had the best idea. I could paint pictures on velvet. And she's like, why would you do that? To give them texture when you lick them, obviously. Really, you should think about things more before you ask stupid questions, Anne. Just.
I liked the next bit that was like something about asking stupid questions or asking questions of stupid. I was like, some very profound insights from Hoid.
Yeah, that probably hits home for a lot of people. You should know better than to be asking. She might not have been asking a stupid question, but asking a question of stupid is nearly as futile. And you're like, yeah, I've been there. Maybe hits a little too close on some days. And then Soleil says, Cannon Master, prepare arms, as we make it through the rocks, and we see the Golden Army out there. Also, apparently, the Sorcerer's cat is named Lacey, which, all right, I don't know what that has to do with anything. And Anne can shoot, like, she can see better now, but she's still not, like, she practiced a little on the way here, but she's still not good, because she doesn't have enough experience to be good, even when she can see better. And so she misses her first shot, and probably would have missed the second one, except that Laggert shows up, and he goes 3 degrees to the aft and 1 up, shipmate Anne, and then tells her exactly when to fire, and the two of them working together do a great job.
That's a really nice moment.
Yeah. And they start shooting these things that release vines to grab all the metal men and hold them in place. And there's even a moment where after like the third shot that hits, Laggert's like, damn fine shooting. Damn fine, Assistant Cannon Master. I was like, oh, he's being encouraging. Who would have thought?
Don't like it. Where did this come from?
Like, Tress was kind to him. He's like, this kindness thing intrigues me. Perhaps I too should use kindness.
I'll give this so-called kindness a try. Maybe I too can be a nice person.
Not an asshole. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Points for trying.
Yeah.
And then in the final chapter begins with Tress is, she's captured. It was humiliating, yes, but somehow also gratifying in that this was what she expected to happen. And there's a thing about like, she'd just been so successful on this trip over and over that it was like becoming worrying. So now she's failed, and now she's like, okay, this feels more in my comfort zone.
Failure.
And the Sorceress is sitting over here watching her screens, annoyed that her troops are being immobilized. And Hoid even gives us information about their programming. They're semi-self-aware constructs, awakened soldiers, but they have to rely on the instructions that she's given them. Far more versatile than something running on a traditional computer program, but not fully alive. I don't know. If she awakened them and gave them like awakened commands, that feels from what we've seen of awakening before, that feels less versatile than a computer program to me, but maybe these are just much more advanced awakening skills.
Yeah, she's had plenty of time to play.
Yeah. But geez, how much breath must be in an army of metal soldiers to be awakened? Unless she can figure out a way to like convert the door into like a breath kind of thing to awaken with. I hadn't thought about that.
I feel like that's possible. Like I said, I feel like, and it hasn't been explicit, but I feel like Door is so raw and versatile that it's like, I feel like it's possible to do that.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, so their programming just can't accommodate them not being able to move, basically. So the army is incapacitated. And Charlie's trying to get down there to open the door, but the cat is involved, and so that's tricky. And so he says, I need you to distract the Sorceress so I can try to do this thing. And I like, he goes inside the pewter tankard that fell on the ground and uses that to get down the stairs, which was very clever. Meanwhile, Tress has to be like, hey, Sorceress, have you heard the stories about the fair maiden who gets captured? And the Sorcerer's like, oh, thinking about how you came all this way just to end up in chains? And Tress is like, yeah. And I'm thinking, well, it's not actually all that bad. And she's like, what? You're powerless. You wanted to save your love, but you can't even save yourself. At the end of your quest, you've ended up like every girl from a story, needing to be rescued. And Tress is like, well, you see, what they leave out is that it's not that big a deal needing to be rescued. Everyone needs help sometimes. It's hard to be the person who makes trouble, but the thing is, everyone makes trouble. How would we help anyone if nobody ever needed help? And Sorcerer's like, you know what? You're going to have a real good curse. Let me just tell you. I've been saving this one for a special occasion. You will spend the next several decades in misery, child. Which, once again, just so petty.
I like to think that she's got some book where, like, every time she thinks up a good curse to put on someone, she just writes down, it's like, this one's going to be fun.
Yep, her curse journal. Yep.
and she puts, like, little tabs in there. Just like, oh, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Gotta have them for all different
Wording will
situations.
particularly annoy Hoid.
But I like her conclusion that the part the stories leave out is that as long as you've lived your life as the kind of person who deserves to be rescued, then it'll work out. And down below, Huck is like, magic door, please open. And that's all you need. And here comes Hoid up the stairs. I love that Fort had to run across the place like carrying Hoid. But he comes up, He's wearing a floral button shirt, shorts that were way too short, and sandals with socks. And this is a costume that I've done at the last couple of Dragonsteel Nexuses that I've been to, where I put together a Tress Hoid costume. The pants were the hardest part for me to find, because the picture in here of him as like dressed like that is just amazing. I have to say, I love it.
He just looks like he's been at some tropical Pacific resort.
Yeah,
He's been hanging out in a Margaritaville
Except
or
wearing
something.
socks.
Yes, he's wearing socks and sandals. That's kind of gross.
but I had
Really?
to.
Mismatched socks even.
They are
Ah.
mismatched. Yep. I had to. When I decided to do this, I was like, I'm going to go all the way with this cosplay. So I got the most high def version of this picture I could find, so I could make sure I matched all the details. And if you look real close, he's wearing like a blue shirt underneath with purple polka dots on it. So I had a shirt made that was blue with purple polka dots. And then I had another shirt made that was this orange shirt with the flowers on it. And then the first year that I went with this outfit, they at the convention started for the first time selling a version of the shirt. I was like, oh man.
No.
The black pants, like the red pants, they look kind of corduroy, honestly, like red corduroy shorts. I couldn't find some exactly like that, so I got red shorts with like vertical black stripes on them. But then you got like the backless sandals, and I got one pink sock and one green sock with one white sock with the two green stripes. That was also actually surprisingly tricky for me to find, was the two green stripes on the sock. But yep, I had to go all out and get everything done.
Yeah, like he really did a good job of picking a bunch of fashion faux pas.
Yep.
Yeah, he did very well.
Oh, great. And it is a simple enough costume, especially once they started selling the shirt, that you see lots of them at the convention, but it's fun. I also brought like some white hair stuff the first year, and then I forgot to use it. So fun times. They also did a pin of this version of Hoid, so I have that too somewhere on my board. It's the pin was called Cursed Hoid. So yeah, so Hoid shows up and his curse seems to have been broken. He's like, "Hello, Rena. I hope your last few years have been exactly as lovely as you are." Burn. But yeah, I love the image of them like dueling Aeons. It's pretty cool. And I bet we could look up what the Aeons Hoid uses are, because there's only a couple of them in there. Now I'm going to take a moment and see if I can do that. I don't remember if I've ever looked at that before. So the main Aeon that he's using in the center there is this one with the swervy lines going across each other. That is Aeon Edo, which is for protection. And then he's modified it with one Aeon all around the edge here, which is like a circle with a box and an X. Let's see what that one is. Scrolling through Aeons. Well, maybe that one's not on the list, because I'm not seeing it. Okay, so the modification may be still a mystery. But I mean, it makes sense that the basic one he's using is protection, since he's trying to stop her spell against Tress.
Yeah, that tracks.
She's got way more little bits and bobs in her Aeon all around the edge, although her main one is this circly one, two circles that meet in the middle with some squigglies. Let's see. Shao, which is the Aeon for transform or change. So she's trying to change Tress in some way. So I guess that's how it works. You have like the main one, which is transform, and then all the modifications around the edge are exactly how you're transforming. Interesting. He's like, "Why, yes, I do know this outfit is awful. I realize one should never bring up politics at dinner with one's in-laws. And I know that you, my dear, are living proof that someone doesn't need to be the least bit funny to be an utter clown." So yeah, Hoid is back. And he's also an Elantrian, because as we find out, that was the whole thing. Was he spent a long time trying. He says you can't fake connection. You have to have an invitation and adoption into a very select group. So his only chance of getting Elantrian powers was to find one of them smart enough to be a member of that group, but stupid enough for me to mess with, and sadistic enough to trade membership for the opportunity to see me cursed. So there you go. That was the deal.
So I get what he's saying here, but also there's no details, so it's like confusing at the same time. It's like, okay, so he had to be invited to do this, so he traded, but at the same time, like, I still don't get how that works. How does she be like, yeah, you're an Elantrian now? Like, I don't get that part.
We don't get told exactly how you can turn someone else into an Elantrian, although she can transform people into a rat, so maybe it's not like that big a difference. I don't know. But yeah, we'd never seen any indication before this that someone could manually make you an Elantrian. It was just something that happened. Except for, I guess, the one time that Moonlight does it to herself. But that was soul stamping. That was a whole different process. And everyone else is confused. Like, what's Hoid? What just happened here? And he's like, you can call me a sorcerer. That'll do. I've won our bet.
Everybody look left. Everybody look right. Everywhere you look, I'm standing in spotlight.
Not yet. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Bean. Did not like John Oliver in the live action as much. Did not think he was quite as good.
I didn't think I'd like Seth Rogen, but he did an okay job.
I don't remember like the I don't want to call it live action Lion King that well, but I do remember not even John Oliver likes John Oliver in that movie.
Yeah. It's
Like,
just it's also a weird choice, which I mean maybe he said no, or maybe they didn't approach him, but like Rowan Atkinson's still alive. Like he could have easily done that.
Aside from James Earl Jones, they didn't bring anyone back though.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I just remember in some bit on John Oliver's show, he mentioned saying such and such political situation is the best ever is like saying I'm the best Zazu ever. We all know it's not true.
Yeah. He's not he's British, right? Like he's not South African or anything. He doesn't have a South African accent.
No, I believe he's British. I don't know too much about him, but I'm pretty sure he's British.
I just don't get if you're going for like if for some reason you were like, well, we wanted a different voice to be more like true to that region, I feel like you could have just gotten like a South African person to do it.
That's true. They changed all the actors for that new Avatar movie that leaked this week.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, they were making that Legend of Aang movie with all the the original gang grown up, and it was supposed to be a theatrical release, and then Paramount announced that no, they decided they were going to put it on Paramount Plus instead, and it pissed a lot of people off. And
someone leaked it.
Yeah, depending on which story you believe, of all the stories that are floating out, it was like an employee might have leaked it, or hackers might have been pissed off and gotten it hacked in and got the movie and leaked it. But yeah, the whole movie got leaked out, and
wow.
They brought back like none of the original actors, and from what I read, it was because they wanted to cast the characters with actors more appropriate for the ethnicity of the characters, the imaginary ethnicity on an imaginary planet, but whatever.
Yeah, I still don't get that. It's like it's not Earth. Like, what are you talking about?
And yeah, so I'm a little bit disappointed about that, but whatever.
Yeah. What did that Netflix show not do well? Are they not continuing that?
I think they are actually.
They are. It's just the typical. There's like 2 or 3 years in between seasons of shows at this point, but they're still going.
Okay.
Yeah, it says actually the season 2 is going to premiere in June.
I never finished it. I only watched like the first episode.
I haven't watched a single episode of it.
It was all right.
I will watch this. I will watch this movie when it comes out, though.
Yes, agreed.
That'll be fun, even if we don't get the theatrical experience. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, the sorcerer's like, okay, fine, just leave before I change my mind. Go away. You got what you wanted. And Tress like, no, hold on. You gotta end Charlie's curse first. And the sorcerer's like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't break the curse until the terms are met. And Hoid has to just kind of like nod. He's like, it's true enough what she just said. We're not gonna get into it. And then Tress is like, well, fine, but we're not leaving. You are leaving. Like, you're horrible. We don't like you here. Get out. Get the hell off our planet. And the sorcerer's like, oh, please. Who are you to make demands of me? And Tress is like, cabin boy, zap her or something. He's like, wait, you're giving me orders? And she's like, well, you're on my crew, aren't you? It's like, okay, fair.
Also, I know Hoid's, he's got power, but like, why would he be annoyed about that?
That's a good point, actually. It's like
Also, nothing against Hoid. If it wasn't for Tress, he would still be cursed.
Yeah, right? Maybe be a little bit grateful, dude. And I actually really like his explanation here, where it's like, look, maybe she could have beaten me. Maybe I could have beaten her. But you don't, it's like, even if there's just a 1 in 5 chance that I could beat her, you don't live to be as old as she is by taking 1 in 5 chances that you'll die all the time. So she did like a quick risk reward evaluation, and she was like, I'll leave. It's not even worth it.
A little anticlimactic, but understandable, I guess.
I mean, it makes sense the way he explains it, so I'm okay with it. And yeah, we end the chapters, all the numbered chapters of the book, with them back on the ship watching as the sorceress's tower flies into the sky, and then we get a picture of the tower is actually a rocket ship, and it's blasting off again.
Which again, why?
I mean, hey, if you've got a spaceship that's outfitted for your needs, then why build a separate building on the planet?
Yeah. It's just like it's just the ending of the story. It's just a little confusing. You're just like, wait, what's happening now?
Hmm. And then Hoid's like, I can't undo the curse. No one can, but maybe I can tweak the parameters a little bit. And we go into the epilogue where it took them 5 months, but they make it back to the rock. Not the same ship though. We traded in the Crow's song and got something with some extra cabins. Also, we received pardons. And so the new ship is the Two Cups, which feels appropriate for Tress. And the picture at the beginning of the epilogue is the same butterfly cup, but like put back together after it broke. So it's very cool. And their new apprentice helmsman is Soleil's father, who they've also picked up on the way here.
That was a nice detail. I like that.
Yeah. And everyone is learning like some sign language so they can communicate on the ship. Ford is teaching them all, so that's also very cool.
Yeah.
And so they've become very important since they single-handedly stopped the Sorceress. They got the whole crew pardons.
I do wonder how they proved that. They just rocked and said, "Yeah, we beat the Sorceress." Like, do we need to wait while someone goes and checks?
There were some, and again, it's like we don't have enough information, but I guess there were some kind of machinations that she had that were affecting the king. So I guess like the way to prove it would be like, hey king, she was stopping you from doing those things. Go do those things, and if everything works out, because it has been 5 months, right? So it's been it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
They've got this very important royal writ now, so they can come and go here, among other things. And they have the exclusive ability to trade through the Crimson and the Midnight Seas because Tress has figured out, how to stay safe on the Crimson with her beanstalk plan, and they know how to manipulate the creatures on the Midnight Sea. So, as Hoid says, they all become extremely wealthy within a few years. And I like the note, the king had, of course, insisted this was always what he intended to happen, and that he'd always believed in Charlie and his chosen bride right from the beginning. If that sounds like hypocrisy to you, well, we prefer to call it politics. Yeah.
I am frustrated by the accuracy of that statement.
Right? Yeah. And then Charlie comes out. Hoid changed the spell, so instead of bringing him to the Sorceress's home, her home, to be first, he made it so that he could bring Tress to her own home to be versed in exchange for his freedom. A good, sensible, non-slant rhyme. So they go home, he writes her a poem, and he is human again, and he walks out of the cabin with nothing on except his tiny pirate hat. And she's like, love, humans wear clothing. It's like, all right, that's going to take getting used to. My dude.
How long was he a rat for? Like half a year?
I mean, it's been 5 months before they got here. So
Oh yeah.
Maybe more than a year at this point.
Let's call it 2 years max. But like, okay, he forgot to wear clothes. He was surrounded by people wearing clothes.
Yep. I have to say, yeah, it strikes me as very strange. But Charlie was never the brightest guy.
Yeah, okay, true.
He was convinced that he'd convinced Tress he was the gardener somehow. Because when he had to tell her the truth, he's like, "Oh, you're not mad at me, right?" And it's like, did you really think that she was fooled this whole time by your bullshit? But it turns out he's a very good valet and a passable ship's storyteller and musician. So it sounds like Hoid has given him a little training too, because he's like, with some help, he wasn't boring at all. Everybody gets to take some shore leave on the rock, except Laggert, who's in the bridge for starting a bar fight in the last port. So, he's part of the crew at least now, even if he's not completely staying out of trouble.
I mean, you can't expect his personality to turn on a dime overnight. He's taking steps to get better. He's just not quite there yet, and that's fine. We'll give him time.
Yeah, improvement is all you can really ask for. Tress's parents show up with her brother, and they're going to leave the island. Tress has gotten permission from the king that anyone who wants to leave is allowed to leave now. And the Duke shows up, and he's all pissy. "What have you done?" And she's like, "I rescued your son. The real one, not the walking chin with a 6-word vocabulary."
I did what you wouldn't do, and I am not going to apologize for it because he's awesome.
The walking chin.
And he's mad about this, the king's writ saying people are allowed to leave. And she's like, "No, read the next part. Just Finish reading, dumbass. Anyone who lives on the rock for 20 years gets a sizable, a generous stipend, it says. So all you have to do, you work here for 20 years and you'll get to retire with a sizable nest egg. So people now want it. It says, these days, positions are hard to come by on the rock. No one wants to leave.
The keep reading thing that you said, it made me think of Dogma. That's probably one of my favorite delivered Ben Affleck lines when Matt Damon is like, so? And he's like, you have to keep reading.
Reading. It just reads the headline. It's like, you have to keep reading.
So I think that's one of my all-time favorite Ben Affleck deliveries. That and the Chasing Amy delivery of, it's a 2-day trip. Those are just both really good deliveries.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then we find out they brought a letter from Charlie's mom. He's like, she asked him, do you want to go say hello to your dad? And he's like, no, thanks. Did you leave mom's letter? The Duchess, it should be noted, had moved away from the island, and more importantly, her husband several months before. Turns out abandoning your only son to certain doom is not a path to a healthy marriage. Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah.
And I like Tress is like, it's in the sack. He'll find it, assuming he bothers to keep reading. Which apparently he doesn't, is not a regular thing, so he may never know the letter from his wife. And then I like Tress is like, is there some sort of law against the captain dating her valet? What will people say? And he's like, they'll say what a lucky guy that is.
I don't think anybody will care.
And yeah, we end the book with Hoid being like, the ocean, however, was now, as you hopefully imagine it, assuming you imagine it as emerald green, made up of spores and bearing endless possibilities. And that's it.
That's the end.
And then I don't know if you guys read the postscript, but it's he talks a little bit about the inspiration here behind this book.
Oh no, I didn't read it.
I did. That was kind of cute.
What was it?
He talks about how he's like, I didn't want to do a fairy tale, but I wanted something fairy tale adjacent, not too childlike. So all like William Goldman's Princess Bride occurred to me, and
which is kind of how I felt when we started reading it. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I showed the film The Princess Bride to my family during the COVID-19 lockdown. I didn't know I'd end up writing this book, but
had his family not seen it?
Maybe not, or maybe they just watched it again. Who knows? And I like his wife's like, hey, what would the story be like if Buttercup had gone searching for Wesley instead of immediately giving him up for dead? And so that was like the seed that like crept into his brain.
Makes sense.
And so, yeah, there's a few fun details in there. Nothing world-shattering or anything. And then there's a little bit about Howard Lyon, who did the art for this book, which is, as we've established, is very nice art. And then when you get to the very end, there's 2 more images. There's one of Huck inside the pewter tankard, and then one of the cup all glued together again. So it's cute. But yeah.
Well, it's time for Joe's rating of the book. The part of the show where nobody cares that I give the book a rating. Hey man, this is a great book. There's a lot of good bits. I think because it's a self-contained book, it's very satisfying, but at the same time, there's a lot of questions at the end that I'm like, like the sorceress's motivations, what she's doing, why she was on the planet, why she cared, why she was so petty, where did she rocket off to? Like, you know, what's Hoid gonna do now? That's always kind of the question at the end of the book, so I'm not as worried about that. So, although satisfying book, still a lot of questions unanswered. A lot of fun stuff a lot of stuff that might have been more fun to kind of get background on or go into. So, for that reason, I'm going to give this book a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite up to some didn't quite live up to some of the Rochar books, in my opinion. But still, a really great book.
Okay, fair. As a single book, this one's probably pretty high ranked for me, but just I like the tone and stuff of it, so I appreciate that.
Tone's fun. Some of the humor did grate a little bit, so I kind of get that. I think also a part of that rating for me is for Brandon himself to say this is an entry point. It's like as a reader of your books, Brandon, I do not agree with you.
Fair enough.
I just want to add to that point because like. One thing we have had frequently with the is this a good entry point is we have the context of all the stuff behind the scenes of like from other series making us think this isn't a good entry point, which is obviously, you know, one perspective. I wanted to point out like I have experienced the other side of the coin. I do know what it feels like to be just watching something that is referencing a whole bunch of other shit behind the scenes, and like I could tell it was referencing, and it really turned me off. And that was The Mandalorian especially season 2. Because like watching that, I'd never watched the 80 billion Star Wars cartoons that Dave Filoni oversaw.
Yeah.
And so watching season 2 of The Mandalorian, and even a little bit of season 1, I'm just like, I don't know what any of this means, and like I really feel like I'm just being advertised at to go and watch those cartoons, which I'm sure they're very, very good cartoons. I don't have the time, so I'm not going to go and do that. And so that's actually what got me to stop The Mandalorian and Star Wars in general. Like that was the final nail in the coffin
Wow.
for me on Star Wars. Because I'm just like, I can't handle this constantly referencing back to a billion other things that I haven't seen and don't have the time to watch.
Mhm.
So I'm done with all this. And so yes, that like so while we say for Tress, we've read the other books that are being referenced. We know the context, so maybe that's coloring our is this really a good starting point? But I got sold The Mandalorian as this complete standalone space western bounty hunter dude going doing his thing, and instead I got no, if you haven't seen all the cartoons, you're not gonna have a fucking clue what's going on. And so yeah, like I've been on the other side of the fence, listeners, and I did not like it, which is why maybe I feel a bit strongly about it here.
Yeah. You know, I do enjoy The Mandalorian. I didn't finish the 3rd season. Not because of that, but like I will agree there's so much content, especially in the later seasons of The Mandalorian, that if you do not know what happened in the cartoons, you're going to kind of be like, "Oh, so who is this person now? Who's Katie Sackhoff playing? What's going on?"
Exactly what was going through my head.
Yeah, and you're right. It's like it's almost like Dave Filoni's like, hey, look how great my storytelling is. Go back and watch my other stories to understand what's going on here. And it's like to an extent, I get it, right? Like you want to reward the people that have been your fans of your story for a while, but yeah, it's like it's hard. It's hard when the gate of entry is like a 7-season cartoon. It's like
Yeah.
I do not have the time to and like I like cartoons as an adult. Don't get me wrong, like, but at the same
Sure, me too.
time. I've sat down and tried to watch the Clone Wars show several times and cannot get
Wow.
through it. Like it's just not that interesting to me.
Yeah. So yeah, and it just comes down to The Mandalorian was advertised as a standalone show in the Star Wars universe and turned out to be the exact opposite of that, and that really burned me. So looking at Tress to say this is a great entry point, I'm like, I don't think it is, frankly.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think going back to The Mandalorian, I think season 1 was, and I think maybe that's primarily because Jon Favreau was like the main voice behind it, right? And Dave Filoni
Yeah.
was there, but like Jon Favreau was running the show. And then I feel like when Jon Favreau stepped back and Dave Filoni took over most of it, it was just like, well, I'm going to do what I do. And it's
Yep.
and so it did like become a thing. I think what really burned me was like it felt like more than half of the Boba Fett series was Mandalorian.
The
I was like,
Mandalorian,
okay, yeah. I was like,
I heard
so,
that,
so
yeah.
this
I didn't
isn't about
bother
Boba
with
Fett. This is about the Mandalorian now. It's like,
Yep.
which don't get me wrong, I like the character of the Mandalorian, but like,
Oh, so do
come
I.
on. I
I don't
was
know that
promised
half.
Boba Fett.
It was like the last 2 to 3 episodes were Mandalorian for some like an extra season of Mandalorian for some reason.
Right. But I mean, but that's what you're talking about, right? It's like it's called the Book of Boba Fett, not the Book of Boba Fett, and then here, let me throw in a bunch of Mandalorian stuff at the end.
There were lots of problems with what they did with Boba Fett beyond that,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was definitely one of them. Look, it's funny you say that because I've never seen a single episode of any of the cartoons. So on that level, I'm right there with you. I don't know what happens in any of those. For me, that didn't bother me in The Mandalorian. Maybe it's just that Star Wars has always felt like such a big universe where there's so much, and you get random whoever the fuck shows up and does a thing and then leaves, even in the original trilogy, and you're like, I don't know who that guy is. I don't like Boba Fett was that. Boba Fett showed up in the 2nd movie and then like gets killed off in the 3rd movie, and it was like, I guess that there's some shit going on with him. I don't know.
But the difference is you don't feel like you need to understand who Boba Fett is in Empire and Return of the Jedi to understand what he's doing in that moment. Whereas like fucking Rosario Dawson showed up in like season 2 of Mandalorian. I'm just like, I have no idea who the fuck you are, and the show doesn't seem to care about that fact. It's like, it just had that feeling of if you haven't watched the show and you don't know who this is, eat shit, I guess. Go watch
That was
the cartoon.
the example I thought of also, actually, because yeah, she plays Ahsoka, who, to be fair, I had heard of the existence of the character Ahsoka Tano, Ahsoka, however you say her name. I'd only ever seen it written, so I don't know how you say it until they said it in the show. But like, I felt like Okay, like weird mysterious Jedi lady shows up, and they even have a flashback at some point of her like being Anakin's Padawan or whatever. And so I was like, okay, I guess that I know enough to be going on with. It's clear that there's way more here, but like I thought that they gave us enough that I was comfortable going ahead with it. It's actually the Boba Fett show is the one where I thought it got worse in that respect, because there's one character that they introduce who's like this alien, really pretty badass looking alien, and they introduce him like it's this huge deal, like, oh, this guy, and of
Dude
course
with the
I have
hat?
no idea. Yeah, the dude with the hat. I have no
Yep.
idea who the hell this is, but they give him such a badass introduction that's like, oh, this guy's going to be interesting. And then
Yeah.
he barely features in any of the rest. And I was like, well, then what the hell was it? Why were we building him up? And then that later I looked up and I was like, oh, they're building him up because he was a big deal in one of the cartoons. And so he shows up and it was like, look at me. And I was very disappointed because I was like, oh, I thought this guy was going to be awesome and do some awesome stuff. No, you just wanted to tease like, hey, look at this cool character that you guys liked in the cartoon. That's when it started
Yeah.
bothering me, when we got to that point.
Yeah.
It just got worse and worse as it went on. But yeah, like, yeah, I don't want to belabor the Star Wars point too much, but it's like I have been on the other side of what we've been talking about with Tress, and it did bother me. So that maybe that's informing why I say I don't think Tress is a good jumping on point.
Yeah, fair. I'll give you guys the opportunity. We're going to read the prologue in the first 5 chapters of Dawn Shard for the next time. You guys have no idea really what it's going to be about. If anyone wants to make some predicaments, feel free. We'll stop for a moment and let everyone have a chance. But I have no idea what you could predict based on the fact that we have no idea what the book is about except for the title.
What do we know about the Dawn Shards from Stormlight? They were like the precursors. Like the Dawn Shard language is that dead language they've only just started to translate. Is that correct?
That's the Dawn Chant.
Dawn Chant.
I think what we've been told in Stormlight is that they're like some legendary ancient weapons. They were compared to the Honor Blades at one point. I think it's like the Honor Blades or the Dawn Shards, but it's really unclear what they are.
Okay, maybe it's something to do with cultivation then, because like I feel like the Honor Blades, pretty obvious which shard was responsible for them. So, but like I think this, I might be misremembering, but I gather Roshar was like basically cultivation's world. Shit went down with Honor's world thanks to Odium, so Honor had to move over to Roshar and join cultivation there, and then things went even fucky when Odium followed up. So I don't know. I'll just make the prediction. I don't have too much to go on, but I'll just say the Dawn Shard, something to do with cultivation and her history on Roshar before the other shards got there.
That would be logical if we're putting them on the same sort of kind of level, and you're saying, well, clearly Honor Blades are Honor. Good call. Who would have thought? But cultivation might have something similar. Yeah.
Not exactly a long bow to draw on that one.
Oh, yeah, look, I don't know. I really don't know. Dak's idea sounds good.
That's fair. Yeah, you have so little to go on. I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, I've got nothing.
I will say, just for clarity, while I don't think Tress is a good jumping on point, I think it's an excellent book, and I had an absolute blast reading it. So
fair. Yeah, I mean, it can be a great book, but not great in a specific context. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Don't start with it.
Honestly, like if you actually want to get the references, it's not even a good like second or third book. Like you need to read a bunch of stuff before you'll really get all the stuff going on.
No, I think I think we read this book at actually the perfect time in our read through. Like it gave us like a bit of a respite from Stormlight, which has been going on for several years now and is good, but like is long. But also we've read just about everything we needed for context. So like it was we hit the perfect sweet spot there.
Agree. I did come up with the order, so maybe I'm biased, but
Dawn Shard. Yeah, look, the besides what Dak's saying about the Roshar stuff, like I have no idea. There's so many things that it could mean. The only thing I could possibly think of is that it has something to do with the shard. So maybe we're gonna get like more information about a specific shard, since shard is in the name. Or maybe that's a red herring. We've often come across things in these books that are called the same thing but aren't actually the same thing.
Especially on like Roshar with all their shards, yeah.
Yeah, and Ghost Bloods, and it's like, oh, that's not the thing. At least right now, it's like that's not the same thing as the other thing, or maybe it is, but we can't really tell.
We even talked about light weaving this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Light weaving is like that's not the same thing as the other thing, although it's kind of the same. It's generally the same, but also different. So yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's what I'll go for. It would be really interesting because we haven't had this before to have like a book written from the perspective a complete book written from the perspective of somebody who becomes a shard. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, we haven't really seen. I don't know if we've seen from their perspectives at all yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we saw from Say's perspective at some
Oh, that's
point.
true. Yeah.
We've seen Vin and Kelsey both take up shard power.
That's true too.
Oh,
So it's like
also true. Yeah,
technically
forgot.
we have, but maybe not at the same time that they were shards for a long period of time. Like only Vin at
That's
the
true.
end.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I that'd be fun to get kind of like a perspective of the shard. That's really what I'm like. Which I know he's still writing books, but it's like all this time we've been hinting at the backstory of like all these powers and what I possibly think Ad Nauseam could be like a space dragon, but it's like I want to know that story. Like I want to get to that point because I gotta get that story, man. I need to know what the thing is with the people and the 16 powers and all that. Like,
Yep. You're not
Yeah.
alone.
yeah.
A lot of people
Anyway,
are waiting for that one. That's one of the last stories he's going to tell. Well, let's do a couple emails, and we have one new patron, so get ready for that when we get there. But we've got we have one email that I've been holding on to for a while because the person who sent it in, it says, this is meant to be read upon finishing Tress of the Emerald Sea. So this is a good time for that. Our first email is from M, and it says, "Hey, Sanderlanche crew, this email is meant to be read upon finishing Tress of the Emerald Sea and has big spoilers for the book. So I was listening to the episode released on March 9th, 2026. I took note of a lot of funny pieces of foreshadowing that you could not have caught without the knowledge of Hank's true identity. First, when Ulam tells Tress about familiars and she thinks that Hank is one, she goes to confront him about the sorceress. She tells him she knows he's a familiar. Charlie has absolutely no idea what she's talking about, but rolls with it and tells her his backstory as being from a small island where his family lived for generations, and how he left with his family on a trip that was not his idea. Which, all of that absolutely is true. Charlie did not want to go on that trip when they left the Rock, and his family's been there for a while. And he goes, yes, I'm a familiar, which is why I can talk. How did you find out? It's total BS, but he rolls with it to help Tress. And then...
damn smart storytelling smartass.
Yep. Later, he says, I'm not a familiar, at least not in the way you think. My whole family can talk. Which, once again, it's true. His whole family can talk. It's just not true in the way that we thought at the time.
Everything I told you was true from a certain point of view.
He says his family lives on an island far from the sorceress's realm. Also true. And when Tress asks if he's descended from familiars, he says that's a good explanation. Joe even commented at the time, he doesn't say it's true, just that it's a good explanation. And when she asked him about how to break Hoid's curse, he says, I'm not supposed to talk about this, but if we're talking about Hoid, and later comments that if someone were cursed, they couldn't explain, but they could explain it if phrasing it like explaining a friend's curse, which I already touched on earlier in the episode. But he even says, I'm trying to help, but there's not a lot I can say, which you assume means he doesn't know, but actually means he's cursed and physically can't say. Throughout the whole book, you see Charlie try to help and explain things to Glorf, but it is limited by the curse. It's just a fun element throughout the book. I wanted to make sure you guys could appreciate it if you missed it upon finishing the book. Lastly, a question before you guys go back to Stormlight. Now that you know all of the orders and surges, if you were to pair them in new ways, what would you pick? Windrunners have access to gravitation and adhesion. Lightweavers have illumination and transformation, etc. What ways would you repair the surges if you could? I feel like that's a really specific question that
That might be a go away and think about question.
right? Yeah, like I feel like that requires some thought.
Yeah,
I
don't think I could.
Homework on that one.
Yeah, I don't think I could think about that right now.
Well, especially because I'm sure no one remembers all those off the top of your head. You'd have to go back and like, okay,
No.
what did the different ones do, and then how would I? Yeah, sorry, we cannot give you our thoughts on that right off the bat.
If you guys are,
maybe we'll come back to that.
Yeah, if you guys are hardcore fans and like know all of the powers and names by heart, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know them.
Maybe
like I could not tell you
2 more giant books. You'll be there.
Yeah, I could not tell you what a Dustbringer's powers are. I could not explain it to you.
I want to comment and say you give us all these great questions. I'm more concerned by the fact that you do this email outlining all the stuff Charlie has done and like all the hints that were dropped, which is really cool, and then you refer to Tress as Glorf. I'm like, wait, do you refer to her as Glorf all the time? Do people do that?
I mean, that is her name, but at the same time,
I know it's her name, but
I didn't know you knew her
It's
like
Glorf.
that, man. Yeah.
I don't often hear people refer to her as Glorf, but now and then.
I mean, it makes sense, I guess, but wow.
It's signed Keep Up the Pod, M, the Lightweaver wannabe Dustbringer. P.S. Did Joe ever assign misting/faring powers to the podcast crew? Seems like a fitting thing to do, despite them not leaving reviews for the pod.
No way. They got to leave a review.
I may have left a review for the podcast at some point. I don't recall.
I think I did too, but I'm not going to assign myself a power. That seems masturbatory.
Okay, we got a couple other ones that are relatively short and are about starting with Tress. Since we were just talking about that, I figure we'll hit those and then we'll hit the rest. This one's from, it's signed Fish613, so that's what we'll go with. Hi, Sanderlanche team. I just had to add my voice to the apparently many people who have written in to tell you that starting with Tress is completely fine. The list of people I've successfully introduced to Sanderson this way includes my wife, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and her husband, and my 8-year-old daughter, who I read it to with some occasional on-the-fly line editing. My sister-in-law has read it now that she's mostly up-to-date with the Cosmere. Has reread it now that she's mostly up-to-date with the Cosmere, and definitely enjoyed spotting the things she missed the first time around, but it didn't diminish her enjoyment when she first read it. If someone isn't sold on long epics and just wants to read one book to get a feel for Sanderson, Tress is an easy recommendation. Best wishes from Fish613. So there you go. There's another perspective.
All right. Yeah, like, just people have different thought processes than I obviously would, but that's fine. Ultimately, I'm glad people are enjoying the book, even if they haven't read any other stuff.
Yeah.
So
I've actually seen several people post on Reddit where at different times that they're in a book club and they each get to take turns suggesting a book, and they'll be like, Tress is the book I suggested for the book club, and everyone loved it, and some of them even got into Sanderson from there. So it happens.
it works for some people. That's good.
Yeah.
And then one more. This one is from Heather. This one says, before starting Tress. Hello again, Sanderlanche crew. Obligatory insistence that I will eventually catch up. I just finished listening to your conversation at the end of Oathbringer, and have to agree that I think it has been my favorite Stormlight book so far. I'm looking forward to another short story before the next one, but first it seems we're venturing into a secret project. I'm looking forward to this new world and trying to figure out if it's actually set on one of the planets we already know. Spoiler, it's not. That would be fascinating. I kind of really want a story in the setting from White Sand, but on the dark side instead. Thoughts? And I will say that they've talked about doing a sequel comic or something that's set on the dark side. I agree.
Yeah, it'd be
I'm
interesting.
really interested in that.
I would love it'd be one of those stories. It seems like it's on a standalone world, and then like at the twist at the end, it's like, oh, by the way, we're going to the light side of the planet now,
right? Yeah,
where the sand people are, and it's like, holy shit!
You could totally do.
Holy crap! It's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Was it like spoilers for M. Night Shyamalan's movies? I'm sure people will be so broken up about that. But the end of Split, where it's like you think this is a standalone movie the whole time, and then like, oh shit, there's fucking Bruce Willis from Unbreakable.
Yeah, I just read the other day that like Sam Jackson wasn't even aware that they were going to do this until he saw the thing. So he was like, "Whoa!" So it's pretty funny.
Yep.
The email continues. I also wanted to let you know that I had a good laugh from this episode because I had similar situations regarding Harry Potter and a personality test like Jamie did. First, my birthday was the day after the 7th Harry Potter book came out, so my best friend and I went to the midnight release at Barnes & Noble, and then she proceeded to read during a sleepover till like 4 or 5 in the morning while I went to sleep. That afternoon, some of my other friends came over, and my friend Courtney picked up the book, flipped to a random page, and she goes, "Huh, didn't Dumbledore die? Why is he here talking to Harry?" My best friend and I flipped out.
Oh my god.
That's ridiculous.
Ugh.
I mean, it could have been a flashback,
remember, like,
but...
Yeah, but well, there's some meme I saw online ages ago. Like someone bought Deathly Hallows, and the first thing for some reason, like they accidentally flipped to the epilogue by mistake when they opened the book, and all they saw were the words "Ginny kissed Albus," and thought, "Fucking plot twist."
Whoa,
that would be unexpected. Yeah, it's like, and he's dead at that point. So yeah, no, that's real weird.
I have so many questions right now.
Dude, she's cheating on Harry already? No, I guess he was broken up with her at the end of book 6. So
yep.
And the email. Second, in regards to a personality test, my mythology teacher back in junior college gave us a personality test which was supposed to sort us into 4 different colors so she could better organize into groups for projects. She reasoned that groups with multiple personality types actually produce better work. Well, I came out as practically all blue and put my head on the desk and started laughing when I read part of what that personality means. It said my results were so blue that I probably even took pity on red just once because I felt bad it wasn't even getting picked. And yes, I had indeed done that on the final question. Anyways, I thought Jamie would especially get a kick out of that after timing out on a question about being decisive. Keep up the great work and happy reading, from Heather.
Yep.
I love that the descriptor's like, you probably felt sorry for one of the others and picked it, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, I did.
A little disappointed the mythology professor didn't like assign the groups to like, you know, mythical characters or something.
Yeah, right? Like, why use colors? Well, you could just make the color equal this cool character. Now, all right. So we still got several emails, but we'll save those for a different time. And we have one new patron this week. So let's do that real quick. At the Mistborn level, which I think is probably the most uncommon one that we see, is actually the Mistborn level. So, Tom.
At the Mistborn level. Uncommon, you say?
I think so.
Let's see, Tom. You can be a blood maker. You store health.
Nice.
I feel like that's good for an uncommon.
So yes, if you want to check out our Patreon, it's the Sanderlanche podcast on Patreon, and I have now finished posting my reactions to Isles of the Emberdark for the first time. So I haven't actually started reading and recording myself doing the novella that I'm gonna do next in Tailored Realities, but that is my plan moving forward. Is as soon as I finish editing the episode of this podcast that needs to go up in a few days, I will start recording that. So if you're interested in hearing my reaction, reading that kind of thing for the first time, you can join our Patreon, and Joe will assign you a faring power. If you'd like to send us an email, like some of these folks did, the email address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review on the podcast platform of your choice and send us a picture of that 5-star review, Joe will assign you a misting power. So you could get both if you do both of those things. Also find us on Instagram and Facebook and places like that on the internet. Remember, we are starting into Dawn Shard for next week. We're going to read I almost said epilogue, the prologue and the first 5 chapters of Dawn Shard. And that whole novella is going to, I have it mapped out at 4 episodes. So we're going to be in that for 4 episodes before we move on to Rhythm of War. And if I can get everything in place before Rhythm of War, maybe we'll do that trivia episode that I've been talking about. So stick with us through that. That's prologue and the first 5 chapters of Dawn Shard for next time. If you're following along, read those. Music by Miracle of Sound. And Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crabs ahoy! And I don't remember the one from last week that we came up with for Tress.
To the cups!
To the cups!
There you go.
I was waiting.
As I was talking, I was like, oh, and I need to do that Tress one, and I could not remember it.